So welcome back again. Today we are going to start with SQL commands. So as you know, SQL has different types of commands. So we have DML commands, DDL, DCL. So there are different commands we'll look into. So today what we are going to learn is mastering the SQL DML commands. And what does DML mean? It's data manipulation language. So I have tried to categorize the types of commands which we see usually, and this is basically, you can find it in any textbook or official documentation. Sorry, it's my sleep mode is on, please ignore that. So we have uh, 5 categories. So one is DDL, and what is DDL? It's data definition language. We have DML, data manipulation language. We have DQL, which is data query language. We have DCL, which is also known as data control language, and then TCL, so transaction control language. So now let's understand what these things are. Today's focus is DML, but let me try to explain what and where we use these. So data definition language. So if you know, when we use SQL, we use SQL for querying a database. So database is where you store all the information. So as you might be familiar with what a database is. So database, you can store structured data, and which has like relationships between it. So we if you have come across the name entity relationships, so basically each entity is modeled into a table, and once to create that table or to define its characteristics, we use DDL command. So for example, create a table or alter a table. So what do we alter? We alter the columns or the format inside the table, or we drop the table entirely. So all those commands that deal with creation of this table comes under data definition language. And then we have, secondly, we have data manipulation language. So what is data manipulation? So anything you have to do with the data which is contained within the table. So for example, if you want to insert a new row inside a table, then you will use an insert keyword and insert into the table name, and then where like we can add more clauses to it. So basically we'll use insert keyword. If you now want to update any information, then you are going to use the update keyword. We'll go into this into more detail. So let's I'll just briefly give you an overview, and each of these DDL, DQL and other commands we are going to learn in this series. So we'll have another video where we'll look into the other things in detail. So just this is a brief overview. DQL is data query. So sometimes the select statement is also included in the DML command. So when I was studying, actually it was not DQL, it was only like classified as a single DML. So we had data select also inside the data manipulation, but this is more correct, where we with select we are basically just selecting the information, but no information is actually updated or deleted in it. So DQL is more accurate to say with select. So select is basically, if you want to see certain information from the database, then we use select. And then we have data control language, which is data control. So for example, if you have multiple databases or multiple tables and you want to give access to certain users, then you can use the grant or the revoke keyword. So this is more into related to the security. So you can even have like row level security or column level security. So that's also possible. And then the third one and the last one is transaction control. So when you finalize all the operations, if you want to commit it, there's a commit keyword which alters the state of the database completely. So that's commit. So we can only use it when we are sure that we want to confirm the transactions. And rollback is allowed when you made some changes, but then you want to roll back to the previous state. So if it was A and then the database A and database A alpha, so let's roll back to database A. Now let's go into what is DML. So as I mentioned, today we are going to learn about the DML language. So DML, as I mentioned previously, it's data manipulation language. It is used for managing data within the existing tables. So select, insert, update and delete. As I have included select in here because we are not going to go into DQL again, so that I have included select here. So these are the four key words you have to remember, and you will be mostly using it for the rest of your lives if you are a data engineer or if you are going to use SQL anytime. So these are the four commands you will be using. And one important point is DML is transactional. So for example, any changes made can be saved, and to save it you have to use the commit, or if you want to roll back, you can roll back these changes as well. So yeah, that's a little bit about DML. So let's go into each keyword. So select, what I call it is the retriever. So we use select keyword to retrieve the data. So it is used to fetch the data from the database. And let us go into the syntax. And I'm a little bit going faster here because what we are going to do is actually see these in and practice this on a separate website, like an online editor, where we can actually see how these commands run. So for the purpose of explanation, I'll try to go over this quickly so that we can actually go into and practice this, and that actually helps a lot compared to just listening to the presentations. So syntax, select, then the column name, and you can have multiple columns here. Select column 1, column 2, column 3 from table, where, and then the condition. So we pass the table name, the column name, and then if we have a condition, like for example where the last name is KA or last name is WU or something like that. So that's how you use the select statement. So there's an example like select name salary from employees, which is like the table name, where is the where clause, and then department is equals to sales. So what it will do is it will try to find the name and salary, list all the name and salary for wherever the name department name was sales. Now insert is creator. Basically what you're doing is you're creating a new row inside the table. So as you see here, used to add new rows to a table. And syntax, insert into the table name the values. So for example, insert into employees, then you give the ID and the name, and then values. So for example, this is the column names, and then you provide the values, which is like it can be 101 Alice or anything. And then update is what? Update modifies what is existing, so it's called as the modifier. The way to remember is the modifier. Update is modifying something, modifies the existing record. See, please be very careful. We always try to use a where clause here. Now using a where clause is not necessary, but if you may have heard some news or funny memes about the update statement, you will see that update the table name, and if the intern forgot where, it actually updated everything. So for example, update employees, set salary as 5,000. Now where is very important. So where should the database set the salary as 5,000? So it should only set it for this particular record, which is ID 101. Now what happens if we forget this where ID? What it will do is it will update this salary for every employee, and now you don't want to do that, right? So this is very important, please keep that in mind. And then the last thing is delete is the remover. What does it do? It removes table, and again delete from the table what you're going to provide, like the condition. Delete from the employees where ID is 101. So what it will go and do, it will go into the employees table and delete the record which has 101 as the ID. So and if you know a little bit about SQL, you may have heard of primary keys, foreign keys. So usually ID or things like that are basically primary key of the table. And primary key is what? It's a unique ID or unique number which identifies that record, and then it's unique in throughout the table, so that you can, like product id, employee id, these are unique identifiers. And foreign keys are basically if you have two tables and you have a common table which references like customer id and product id, and let's say the sales table, then product id and customer id within a sales table will become foreign keys in that. So we will also have a separate video, so it's very difficult to explain everything together, but what I'm trying to do is like we are starting with commands, and as I come across something I'm going to explain it to you. So these are the four like DML commands, and now I've listed some practice resources here, but we are going to go to the SQL Zoo. This is something I found out recently, and let's use that. So let's look into this. So what do we have here? We have a select. This is a fun way of learning SQL. So we have the world database here, and they have like country names, continent names, area, population, and GDP. And this is a small tutorial, so I just tried a few, but we are going to practice it as I record this. So don't worry, we both are going to learn in the same way. So let's see, what does it say? So let's say it says read notes about this table. So okay, so they have explained what the table is. This is a world table, and it has fields, different fields are what, like these are column names, okay. And then the type. So for example, when you create a database, you have a name, right? So you provide the type of it, like it should be a varchar. It will have like 60 characters. Varchar is, it can have a name like alphabet as well as a numerical. And then decimals means it will only have numbers, or yeah, so it will have 10 digits. This one will have 11, and this will have like 14 digits. So, and what are these? Area, land area in square kilometers, population, and then the GDP, then capital, and then all of these are basically sizes. So the flag cannot be larger, or the TLD cannot be larger than 5 characters or 255 characters. So I think 255 is usually the max. So it's about that. And then they have defined that there is a table called world, and they have provided us with 200 records, and first record is Afghanistan, and then the final record. So basically these are country names and then continent names. The table has 8 columns which are attributes, so these are all attributes. And if you can see, this is how it looks like, and they have also provided the details about million, billion, and zillion. I also always yeah, sometimes it's difficult to get your head around, but because each different parts of world have different ways of like writing this comma. So what I have learned is like 3 digits, then 2 digits, then 1. So everyone has a different way of separating the numbers. So but it's basically the same. So yes, as we have read the notes about the tables, we are going to run this command and see name, continent, and population. So it has listed all the names, like country names, the continent, and population. So this was a basic select command. Then we are going to use the where clause to filter records. Now what the question is, show the name of the countries that have a population of at least 200 million. So it should be select name 200 million is 200 and then 6 zeros. So select name from world where population is at least 200 million, right? So it should be greater than or equal to this number, and then we are going to write. So it has shown us Brazil, China, India, all of these countries have population of at least 200 million or more than it, right? So when it comes at least, which means it should satisfy, why did we use this? So it should satisfy 200 million, so at least it's this much or it's more than that. So that's why we have used this keyword. And then let's go to the next question. And please do let me know in your comments if I'm explaining too fast, please try to let me know, so that the next time I'll be a little bit slower. But if it's too slow, we can also go quickly over it, but I'm trying to maintain a good pace here. But yeah, let me know how you think about my explanation, as it's my first time. And then we are going to learn about per capita GDP. So we are not learning about per capita GDP, but we are going to learn about how to get that. So our question here is, give the name and the per capita GDP of those countries with a population of at least 200 million. So here we just took the name from the world, right? Let me copy this query and let's see. Give the name and the per capita GDP for those countries. Do we have a per capita GDP here? We have a GDP, right? And they have provided us a GDP, but they didn't provide us per capita GDP. So let's see the tip. Per capita GDP is GDP divided by population. So what we are going to do is GDP divided by population. So these are two column names, right? And what we are going to do is, now in SQL, what we can do is we can actually perform the operation and rename the column name as per capita GDP. Let's see if it works out. Yeah, it was GDP. So let's see. Okay, what's the error? Okay, yeah. GDP divided by population as per capita GDP. I think the table name, the column name should also not contain any spaces. So let's okay, great. So what they wanted was, and one thing with experience you will know is, see, they have mentioned this as with spaces, right? But if I were to give this as a space, it wouldn't have worked. So here now you wouldn't be able to figure out what's wrong. But if you with some experience, you'll know that either you can give these underscores or just like a single word and not like a separate word with spaces. So select name, and then what we did, GDP divided by population, and then rename that column as per capita GDP, and then submitted this. So that's this. So what we are learning here is, I think, okay, they have also tried to explain it to us. Feel free to go into their explanation as well. So but we were able to find the right answer, so we don't need to, but if you want you could use their explanation. And then let's go to the fourth question. How many are there today? Oh, okay, so we may not do all of them, but please feel free to yeah, go over these. But let me solve for today. Yeah, as we practice this, let's do one more, or let's do 5 today. So let's go to this. Show the name and population in millions for the countries of the continent South America. Divide by the population by 1 million to get population in millions. Okay, so now we want to show some countries, select countries within South America. So what we'll do is select, then we'll use name, and what they have asked is population, but then they want the population to be shown in millions. So basically we will have to divide this by a million to show them in millions. From the table world, right? From world, and then where we have a condition here. So what we are going to do is, usually you can use this, you can write this way. So you have the select in the first line, from in the second, and then where continent then write in single quotes South America. Yeah. Okay, so, and you can also rewrite this as population again, so you rename this and the table is more accurate. So now you can see all the countries in South America and then the population in millions. So okay, so it tells us that Brazil has a higher population. And a quick note, so I could have done this as well, order by, so this will learn in I think yeah, I don't think they have a fixed way of doing things, so maybe we won't be able to do this. Yeah, but basically I was trying to order it by the highest and the lowest population, but probably it's not allowed here. So let's go to the next one, which is fifth. Show the name and population of for France, Germany and Italy. So what they've done is now given us just the country names. So what we can do is we can use select statement again, select name, population, and what we are going to do today is select from the word database where, and these are country names, so name in, and we are going to copy this. So we are going to use the in keyword so that it only matches to country names which are either France, Germany or Italy, and hope this is the correct answer. Okay, yeah, there you go. So where name in and this. So you may have got an idea on how to use the SQL keyword, and what we have done is and then perform some operations based on what the question is. And you can also practice show the countries which have a name that includes the word united. So for this I'll give you a hint, you can try it out. You will use the like keyword here, so like operator, which will solve this query. And then what's this question, 2 ways to be country is big if it has an area of this much or it has a population of more than 250. So yeah, this is basically some mathematical calculations you will have to do, and there are exclusive also. This is basically like practicing SQL with some operators. But anyways, we will learn about this. So today's content was more about data manipulation language, and we will come into using these operators like the ones we used here, like in or like or other in the next lecture. But for today what we wanted to use this for is to understand how we can use the DML commands. So select, and we didn't practice on insert, update and delete, so we can go ahead and check those as well. So here what they're doing, they're providing insert into games. So this is the games table. They have 2 columns, year and city, and then values. So insert statement adds a new row to the table. So now we had the 2024 Olympics in Paris, so insert into games, and then okay, why can't we run these? don't think we can. Oh, it's weird. Anyways, we may not be able to run this, but this is an example of how an insert table um, can be used. I think I have not used this website, but I think what they want us to do is go sequentially, and maybe we'll be able to run this. So yeah, this is how insert can work. And then we have update command. So update inside games, set city equals to Paris, where year is equal to 2012. So what it will do is it will change London to Paris. I think it will not work, but let's try. No, it won't work. So yeah, basically this website would want us, but I would suggest you can use any you have W3 SQL. You can also use SQL tutorial in here to go over and practice your SQL commands. So I think you'll have SQL insert into tables, insert into examples. You can practice this here, and then SQL update table name, set this. So you can try and practice this, but once you are good, I don't think you need to spend more time doing this. Once you start solving problems, you will figure this out. But I think it's good to know SQL select command. And then insert or update is when you are actually creating or working with a database in real world. But if you're just solving like SQL, preparing for an interview, then you don't have to use insert or update a lot. You will be working with SQL select commands, and then using these functions and trying to solve the problem. So if you're preparing for, depending on what you're doing right now, if you are a learner, if you are in your college, or if you're preparing for your exams, then definitely look into this. But if you are just appearing for an interview and practicing, then I would suggest focus more on joins and then the advanced topics of SQL, which we will also cover in this series. So yeah, that's all about the today's presentation. I use Adobe for this, and yes, please feel free to like, share and subscribe to this channel and support my channel so that I continue to make these videos. And also let me know if it is helpful and if you were able to follow through the tutorial today.